So, Ilhan Omar recently held a fantastic press conference talking about the efforts for police reform. Now, I want to show you a clip from it because I think it's so good and so telling. So, let's roll that clip and then we're going to talk about it.
But we can't stop at criminal justice reform or policing reform for that matter. We are not merely fighting to tear down the systems of oppression in the criminal justice system. We are fighting to tear down systems of oppression that exist in housing, in education, in healthcare, in employment, in the air we breathe. When we say housing is a human right, we need to guarantee homes for all. When we are speaking to the fact that home ownership rates are nearly twice as high for white families as they are for black families. Here in Minnesota, it's triple, and people of color are more likely to face eviction and homelessness. When we introduce the Zero Waste Act or a Green New Deal, it is because we know that environmental racism is real. Whether it's living near incinerators in North Minneapolis, proximity to power plants and factories, higher exposure to emission from polluting, the disproportionate harm that disasters like Hurricane Katrina cause to black communities, even access to basics like clean water, we are bearing the brunt of that environmental catastrophe. When we say healthcare is a human right and that every American deserves free healthcare, we are speaking to the fact that black Minnesotans are more than 50% more likely to be uninsured than white Minnesotans. When America gets a cold, black Americans get pneumonia. We must recognize that these systems of oppression are linked. As long as our economy and political systems prioritize profit without considering who is profiting, who is being shut out, we will perpetuate this inequality. So we cannot stop at criminal justice system. We must begin the work of dismantling the whole system of oppression wherever we find it.
So, Chris, when I saw this clip, I was like, wow, this is some of the best stuff that I've seen in American politics in a long, long time, specifically and explicitly trying to connect together the systematic racism which exists in the economy, in environment, and all other aspects of life with police reform, saying that if we just stop at police reform, that's not enough. We have to dismantle this whole system. I thought it was so good.
Yeah, the thing that bothers me about it is the branding it's going to get. It's immediately going to be attacked from the other side, making it look like, oh, she's just trying to come in here and destroy our country and all this kind of stuff. But it's exactly the kind of stuff that we need to be looking at, right? I'm hoping that the current movement with Black Lives Matter actually is effective and we're able to make big changes in the police and how police work in this country. But I would hate it if we just stopped there, right? Because I think she's right. We need to continue because,
Well,
just a couple of things that also need to be looked at. So voting, right? How capitalism works in this country, how the people at the bottom, the inequality, people at the bottom, the workers who create the stuff aren't getting their fair share. The workers' rights. There's a number of things that need to be fixed in order for this country to be a healthy country, right? In order for the people who are working to be able to buy products and keep these companies going.
you're absolutely right. But it's not just that. It's also that we're not actually even going to be able to tackle police reform if we don't tackle capitalism in some way, if we don't tackle the systemic issues relating to, for instance, how property areas that are, more likely that have factories close by are lower income areas, leading to issues with air pollution and leading, of course, to more issues with health and spending, which saddles on debt and saddles on issues. And as we've talked about a million times on this channel, well-resourced communities do not need a ton of policing. It's communities that are struggling that they send in the cops to just make things oftentimes worse. And so, you have this situation where the way in which we think about property ends up leading to a lot of problems for policing. And Chris, you're absolutely right to say that the way in which this is going to get framed is negative because, oh, they want to change things. They want to dismantle America. Look here at this tweet. You can see this tweet here from Kevin McCarthy, the GOP leader in the House, basically saying, you're trying to dismantle America. You're trying to destroy America. Now, AOC had a great hit back from it. You can see AOC there saying, yeah, you are absolutely right. Ilhan Omar has long been on the side of dismantling systems of oppression and structural racism, as she stated, but it's revealing that it is you who are the ones who are equating oppression with, quote, our entire system, as you intentionally took a black congresswoman's words out of context to target her. I mean, Chris, great hit back from AOC for sure. Great hit back from AOC there. But you are absolutely right. It's so telling the way in which Kevin McCarthy there is just framing this thing. Oh, well, you want to change America. You want to change America to mean that, you're somehow anti-America.
Right. And I think you're right. And I want to circle back to a point you made a minute ago, which I think often gets overlooked about pollution, because a lot of times when we talk about pollution in the environment, people are thinking about polar bears and stuff like that. But there is quite a bit of evidence that shows that the pollution right here in our country is literally affecting the health of people growing up. So if you're in these neighborhoods where you're one block from a major freeway, you're more likely to grow up with lung problems like asthma and this kind of stuff. And on average, your life is going to be shorter. So literally, we have a system where you are born because of pollution can affect your whole life expectancy and your health throughout that. So it's one more area which really backs up the point she's trying to make, which is our whole system is absolutely broken, and we need to get at all of it. If we're going to try to fix any of it, we need to really try to fix all of it.
Right. We need to get to the root and change the system. And it doesn't mean, and I want to say this really, really carefully and clearly in case, you're watching this video and maybe you're a little bit suspect. Just because we want to try to change America and try to make America better doesn't mean that we hate America. It's because I care about America, and not just that, I care about the people in this country. Indeed, I care about the people around the world entirely, and I think that some of the things that we do hurts people in other countries. Like, I want to make things better. I want to make America better. That doesn't mean that I'm here out to be against America. I love America in many ways. I love the places that I've lived in many ways. I just think that, sometimes we can do a little bit better, oftentimes a lot better than what we're doing right now. And one more thing, Chris, that I think is super interesting here is the way in which Kevin McCarthy, I'm going to pull back up that tweet from Kevin McCarthy there so you can look at it. Notice here at the beginning of their tweet, it says, yesterday, Basement Biden said that he wants to, quote, transform America. Today, the House Democrat said that she wants to, quote, dismantle our entire system. In other words, what's going on here is Kevin McCarthy in the GOP, and this is a general strategy which we've seen from Mitch McConnell, from Donald Trump, and a lot of Republicans across the board, trying to link Joe Biden, the centrist Joe Biden, to the quote-unquote radical left, saying that, oh, well, if you're a more moderate Republican who doesn't like Trump's mean tweets, don't try to jump ship, because guess what's going to happen? Biden's he's just pulled by the far left, by the progressives, and Biden's just going to do everything that progressives want. Tell you, Chris, I wish that were the case.
Right. The progressives are all standing around going, he's too far to the right, right? So whatever side you're on, you think Biden's too far the other direction. Yeah.
Right. Well, they're trying to frame Joe Biden that way. There's this idea here, and I think it actually is, look, obviously, I think it's completely misleading. I think it's completely wrong. But I think that given the poll numbers, given where things are at, this is their best shot in the sense that they're trying to link this idea of basement Biden, his kind of dementia, that he's not really a competent leader. And so, as a result, he's just going to be dragged by the far left, what they're calling the far left elements of the Democratic Party. That's their argument that they're trying to make to those sort of what we might call fickle Republicans who might flip over and switch.
Yeah. And let me respond to the point you were making a minute ago about, loving the country and stuff like that. That's exactly right. For some reason, there's these blinders that people put on when they talk about the country and think that if you make any kind of criticism of your country, that somehow you don't love the country and you don't want to make it better. I often liken it to like parenting, right? You love your kid, but that doesn't mean you just say everything your kid ever does is perfect, right? There are times when you have to sort of make corrections when you're trying to raise your kid or whatever. Sometimes it's hard. You gotta do things that are uncomfortable, but you still love your kid and everything. It's the same thing with the country, right? We love the country, but there's some difficult things that are.
It's like any relationship, Chris. It's like any relationship.
Right.
You know, if you say that, you know, you love someone and you only see the perfect side of the, you know, you don't ever
Right.
recognize that there might be some faults, and you don't love the person. You love the idea of the person. And
Right.
it's, you know, it's recognizing that there are faults there and accepting those faults and not necessarily trying to force a change, trying to, you know, turn them how you see it perfectly fit, but, you know, trying to dialogue with those things and, you know, seeing what you can do from there. I mean, that's what, as I see it, what the left is trying to do for America. And I think it's the way in which a proper, any kind of relationship, I think that's how it should go.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. And so, you know, again, Ilhan Omar, I think, in my opinion, is probably one of the best members of Congress that we have here on the left. She's always so good to link issues of oppression together and not just talk about things as just being a siloed off issue. This is something that would just make me want to pull my hair out when I would see liberals, and by liberals I just mean centrist, talking about things, you know, in terms of siloed off issues. Okay, well, there are women's issues. There's, you know, issues for black people. There's issues for Asian people. You know, there's different issues for different groups of people, and it's a very sort of democratic strategist way of looking at things where, you know, you have your box check, you look at the demographics for each group, and then you poll test each group individually, and then you find out what groups, you know, that you might need to win, what percentage of them you need to win. And so you line up your policies for a particular platform on the basis using, you know, weird mathematical calculations that you dig through in Stata, and you develop the platform that's going to win you the race because you think, you know, making a bet on how much each policy could win per percentage point. You know, it ends up, it's just this quantificationization of politics, which just leads to treating people as just completely isolated individuals and not treating them as holistic people, not looking at the systems of things and rejecting the interconnection of everything. It's why ideas, just the concept itself of environmental racism, not even just what it means, but the concept itself and what it means behind that is so valuable. And it's such a difficult idea because we're so prone to atomistic thinking, whether it's, you know, in science, whether it's in politics, whether it's anywhere. But getting beyond that and starting to see things as systems of relationships is really difficult. It's a difficult, innovative, intellectual step. But once we do that, once we can do that, we're able to solve immense numbers of problems, not just in physics, not just in science, but in politics and in everyday life too. Chris, thanks so much for joining us for this one. And go check out his channel. It's Political Perspective. It'll be down in the description box. I'll have a link for you to click so you can easily do it. You don't have to type anything. All you've got to do is hit the link that's in the description box. All right, we'll see you all in the next one. Thanks for watching.